on blast.
Sorry, I thought of what I was going to say, and it already made me laugh. I'm so corny.
Wow. Laughing at your own joke before you even tell the joke? Is that what's happening right now?
It is. Let me pull it together, Sheldon.
Wow.
I'm John Chidley Hill, and this is the 112 podcast. You already know.
Room 112, where the players dwell, man.
No, but seriously, this is You Killed It, the podcast about the challenge. I don't think we're going to talk about Bad Boy Entertainment this week.
No, but we will talk about a couple bad boys.
Ooh, what a segue. A pro-level segue.
I do what I can.
This is, we'll talk about episode 7 of the Challenge All-Stars. We pick up where we left off. Mark and his henchmen are celebrating his win. He's wearing a crown. I couldn't tell if it said Podfather or Bodfather.
I think it's Godfather, no? Like he keeps calling himself the Godfather.
I guess so. I don't know. Either way, the scene only confirmed for me my dislike of Mark and Derek and sort of Nehemiah. What did you think?
I mean, the one thing I'll agree with Mark is Mark said that there is no better feeling than winning an elimination. And I would assume that that's got to be correct. I've never won an elimination, but it looks like it's pretty cool. Seems like it would be a pretty cool feeling. But I will say he's got to work on his dancing. His dance moves were pretty bad. Pretty bad. What,
they were pretty bad. For an athletic guy, he does not have rhythm.
It's not even about being an athlete, just like a simple two-step, man. Every human being should be able to at least conduct themselves with a simple two-step. Simple.
What was it? Was it Hitch? That was the Will Smith movie, right?
Yes.
The advice Will Smith gives to Kevin James in that movie on how to dance.
I forget this. I remember the scene vaguely, but I don't remember the specifics of it.
Elbows 2 inches away from your body, snap on the beat, and just step back and forth. And like a big mistake that a lot of guys make is that they don't move their feet. It's not enough to sway.
No.
You got to have some action happening below the waist.
It's true. That's fair. That's very fair.
And you know what? That'll get you far, that hitch dance move.
For sure. That's all. You don't need much more than that. As an adult, like as a grown-ass person, you don't need much more than that. That'll get you through most situations. It does remind me, though, I remember, this is way too inside, but whatever, who cares? This is what we do. I remember back in the day.
What we do.
It is. Back in the day at my old job, when I worked at the Score, we had this area called News Pit 2. And it was just where, like, you know, a bunch of the hosts and producers sat. But it was so much fun. Like, it was just such a great work environment, like, you know, telling stories, cracking jokes, like whatever. It's just such a good time. But I remember one of the dudes, who I won't name him because whatever, that part's not important. But I remember one day it came up that he couldn't two-step. And then one of the other guys was like trying to show him how to two-step. Like, it was basically the scene you just described in the movie Hitch. But like it was even made better by the fact of who the guy was who was showing him how to do the two-step. Like, it was incredible. Like, it was honestly one of the funniest things ever, because at first I couldn't even believe that someone didn't know how to two-step. I was like, what do you mean you can't two-step? Like, that's the most basic thing ever. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Some people don't know, Sheldon.
It's a thing. I feel sorry for those people, but we're here to help. We're here to help.
Well, you know, I've got friends who are from Alberta.
Okay.
And they can't believe that I don't know how to line dance. And like, I've taken line dancing lessons.
Okay.
It's not easy.
Okay. No, I mean,
but like, I consider myself a good dancer, but I can't. The line dancing, it's too much.
But that's like a full-on, almost routine kind of, you know what I mean? Like, there's more to it than just 2 steps back and forth. Like, that's.
But the basic is, for line dancing, it's still like basically a 2-step, right? Like, you 2-step one way, and then you turn like 90 degrees.
Okay.
And then 2-step the next way, and then turn, and then.
Yeah, but I feel like you'd be able to do it.
Oh, I can get there. I can't just like hit the ground running.
You need a refresher.
That's right. So
just like Yesella needed a refresher of how the challenge works. Because I mean,
Well,
her and Anissa, oof.
before we get to that, we have comments because
Okay.
we sort of, I put down Mark and Derek last week,
Mhm.
and we got some listener comments.
Okay.
Sarah Casellas, longtime listener,
Shouts to Sarah.
says, "So Derek, I feel this attachment to him being a good guy that I made in the mid-era of the challenge around the unduly maligned season The Island." Sorry, Sarah, I disagree. The Island's horrible. When he made his comeback, I was rooting for him, but I've gotten a little annoyed over the past while, and I feel bad. But I think it started when I tried listening to his podcast. Felt like he was trying to make it about him a bit too much, in a way that's consistent with the trying to produce energy you guys pointed out. And then Mark, he's cocky in a way that feels like he's trying to force his importance on us. Just let the widely known fact that you made this show happen speak for itself and chill out. I have to say, I agree with Sarah. I think she nailed it.
No arguments here. I mean, it's a great point by Sarah. I just think it's too much. It's doing too much. I still say it. And I mean, maybe there's going to be a point where I borrowed this segment from the show that was on ESPN called The Six, but they had a segment that was just called Doing Too Much. And that's exactly Mark and Derek. It's just everything is so extra. Everything is like they're the big boys. And it's like if you just win, like they've been winning or doing really well, that'll speak for itself. But you don't need a crown. You don't need any of that stuff. That's extra.
Well, you know what occurs to me is like, yes, the concept of this season is Mark's idea, but it's sort of inside baseball. Like you have to be on social media.
Mhm.
You have to follow challenge accounts. You have to follow Mark and other like less active people to know all this. Like you have to be listening to the podcast.
Mhm.
And like we love our listeners, and obviously like we're in that world.
Mhm.
But of the millions of people that watch the challenge,
Yeah.
regular challenge, I don't think that's the engagement level. So like it's a little presumptuous to be like, oh, everyone knows who I am and I have to celebrate it. Like just act like you've been there before. Be the Barry Sanders of the challenge.
But also too, I think because we're in this situation where, as you mentioned, there might be a lot of people who aren't that familiar with a lot of these people. You are making a first impression. So for you to come on and act as if like you're the Godfather or you're whatever, and we know that you don't have anywhere remotely close to the most wins in challenge history. And as Derek says later in the episode, he hasn't won since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Like that means there's like full on teenagers watching. Is my math correct? No. But my point is, the point I'm trying to make is that
they'd be turning 13 this year, Sheldon. You're okay.
I'm laughing at myself. I'm laughing at myself. Just let me laugh at myself and make fun of myself for a second.
Okay. Okay.
I'll know you are the smart one that can do basic math. And yeah. But anyways, the point I was trying to make though, is that there are people who watch this show who have no idea when Derek won. Right? They have no concept of it. So if they just came in like anyone else on the show, because we all watch the show and we're like, you know what? I really like Kendall, or you know what? I like Nehemiah, or you know what? I like Jemmy. Like if you're coming into this fresh and you're not familiar with the work, Derek and Mark, like their resumes aren't even good enough to be like, oh, okay, I get it. These guys are the real OGs. They're like the big bosses of the show.
Yeah, I agree. They're not even in the top 10 or maybe even in the top 20 at this point in terms of wins.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, I mean, I wonder if maybe production's been an influence, because like production, I think, is very much used to having a Johnny or a Wes or a CT at this point.
True.
Or a Kara or a Smashley.
Just anything. Yeah. No, I got you. Someone who you need to, like, as we talk about it all the time, right? produce the show while being on the show, whether that is, giving good confessionals or setting up scenes when they go talk to whomever while they're working out. Like all of those things are needed. And I get that, but I just think they're doing too much within that.
I also have to tell you, I was listening to Still Too Much by Ghetto Concepts the other day, as you do. And it reminded me of you and this podcast. I don't know how you're going to feel about that, but.
Okay. I'm not mad at that song.
No.
It's a great Canadian classic hip hop song.
You've got ears and a heart. Of course you don't. Like,
there are Americans though listening being like, what are you guys talking about?
Well, we talked about it.
That's what we strive for here.
We talked about it months ago.
Because Snow's on that track too, right? And I feel like Americans, if you're of or in and around our age, you definitely remember who Snow is in Informer. Because that was a smash hit.
Smash hit.
Smash hit. Breaking down borders for sure.
Distant cousins of Stephen Page from the Bare Naked Ladies and Steve Simmons of the Toronto Sun.
Hold on, what? That is not true. Hold on, that is not true. Stop it. That is not true. Hold on. We're like way off on a tangent that like there are 5 people listening right now that are like finding this as amazing as I do. And then the rest of the people are like, who are all of these people that you're talking about? But I'll give them. So like Snow, what do I call him? A white reggae artist from Toronto, Scarborough.
That's generous of you.
Sure. He and Steve Simmons, who is basically, I mean, the poor man's version of a Toronto Maple Leafs Stephen A. Smith.
I would say, what's his face, Bayless, but Skip Bayless.
Or a homeless version, not even a poor man's version, a homeless version, a homeless man's version of Skip Bayless. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. We could go with that.
I just sent you a chat as proof.
That is okay. I know what I'm doing when we're done this podcast because I'm like mind blown right now. Like what? There's like 4 people that I know I'm gonna send this exact conversation to because they're gonna be like, "What? This makes no sense."
Now I might have it twisted. It might be that Stephen Page is cousins with Steve Simmons and with Snow. Like he's like the connection.
He's the connector.
I don't know that Kevin Snow Bacon and Steve Simmons are cousins.
Still, that's fine.
But like if you think about it, they look alike. Like all 3 of them. Like you can see a family resemblance.
What is happening right now? I don't even know what we're talking about right now. I don't know what. I always want to like change this podcast and make it like a family tree podcast breaking down Snow's family lineage. Like Gladly. What is going on? And all I'll say, people, if you're wondering who the hell we're talking about, you don't have to know anyone other than Snow and just Google Snow. Rapper or reggae artist. I don't know what he actually calls himself, but he's basically Chet Hanks before Chet Hanks.
Yeah. and like good. Like Informer's a banger, okay?
What is happening right now? We're off the rails. This might be the most off the rails we've ever been. And it's still, I don't even know if we've talked about the show that much yet.
No, we haven't. But let's get back to that. So you want to talk about.
Hold on. Can I just say one thing though?
Yeah.
If anyone, I need anyone who is listening to this podcast right now, if you appreciated the last 2.5 minutes of that gibberish about Snow, and I was about to call him Stephen A. Simmons for a second, by the way, there, and Steve Simmons, please let us know. I just want to hear from you just to know that there's someone out there that appreciated this conversation of a full breakdown of the ancestry.com of Snow.
I'll tell you what, the next time I see Steve Simmons, whenever that is, I'll ask him directly.
Fair enough.
Sound good?
This is what the people come to this podcast for. That is the information. I like it.
So Gisela and Anissa are cuddling under a blanket together, talking about how close they are in real life. And they
Mhm.
both, Gisela says, Anissa and I speak every day. She's met my kids, and they're emphasizing that they're peoples.
Mhm.
You and I have watched the challenge often enough to know it's not going to go well for our girls.
Oh yeah,
You
straight
can't have
dead
that kind of
giveaway.
setup.
Yeah, and let's be honest, we saw this what 3 episodes ago with Katie and Trishelle. No, the
Yeah,
exact same thing. So yeah, we kind of get where it's going, and it's setting it up. But even with the telltale signs, what makes the show so interesting is you still want to see how it breaks down. And I got to be honest, I'm not really sure why they were beefing anyways, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that because there's
yeah.
something else. We segued off of music back to the actual challenge,
Mhm.
but we're going right back to music because if there's anything that I'm so happy about the fact that we're watching this season and getting to see the American version with all the music, I thought I was super happy with all the Bad Boy and 112 tracks, but Shorty Swing My Way is a classic banger. Like that is a great track. Like when that came out, when that came on, I was like, oh, okay. I like whoever's producing the challenge. Shouts to you guys right now because you guys are putting in work. And again, as I say all the time, if you're in and around our age, you definitely know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, that's okay too. We're here to educate. We're here to help you out. Banger. Shorty Swing My Way. Great track.
See, I thought that you were going to be hyped because of them playing Boom by POD when TJ rocked up on his like pain wagon there.
No.
You
I
strike me
mean,
as a
that was
big
cool.
POD guy, right?
Hold on. First off, so like I know what you're doing here. And I wasn't mad at it at all. I love this. I love the scenes where they're just like, "Where's TJ?" And you know he's gonna come in on something crazy, right? Like that always happens. So I was expecting that. I wasn't surprised by that. But again, Shorty Swing My Way, great track. And I will say because this is where my line of the episode was when Mark is doing his workout
Okay.
and all the girls are in the window watching, and there's not enough of these scenes that we normally see in the challenge where like they know they're creating content for the show. But I appreciated this, right? And they're like laughing, they're like yelling at Mark, "Hey, take it off, ha ha ha!" And then Jemmy says, "Quote: He's a stripper you hire for your mom's 50th birthday, so that your mom doesn't feel guilty rubbing your hands all over some young kid." But you know, that's Mark. Close
That,
quote.
that was my second favorite line of the episode. So I'm
Well, that's a
glad.
tease. That's a good tease. So we can save that for the end. Dun, dun, dun.
So no on the POD, eh?
Sure. I mean,
I have to tell you, Sheldon, one of my favorite things in the world when we're recording this podcast is saying, "Hey, Sheldon, you really like," and then saying something that I know for sure you don't like.
it's a good bit we got. It's a good bit we got for sure.
It fills my heart so much.
I mean,
So,
I've heard of the song. Like I was like, oh yeah, I've heard the song before,
of course,
but I
you
wasn't
saw
like,
Rain. I'm sure you saw Rain of Fire opening night like I did.
banging out to it or anything.
No, I was because it was the late 90s and I was way more into new metal than anyone has any right being.
Okay. Fair enough. Hey, and
So,
that's just a balance we bring to you on this podcast, right?
hey man, holds up still, and Linkin Park. I'll die on that hill.
I'll take your word for it. I mean, the Linkin Park Jay-Z, what was that Collision Course album?
Yep,
That was a thing. I
it's
remember
pretty
that.
good. It's pretty wild if you think about it.
Oh yeah.
So back to the challenge. The daily competition is called Ribcage Pass,
Oh, is that what we're
and
talking about? Okay, cool.
so there's a truck, and sticking out from both sides are a series of beams,
Mhm.
and each person has to jump from beam to beam toward the back of the truck, where they will collect a singular ball, and then make their way back, and they have to do this 4 times. For both the men and the women, whoever comes in last, i.e., goes the shortest distance or gathers the fewest balls, they are immediately going to the elimination. Whoever wins is going straight to the final. We learn,
which is big. Which is
pretty big. What did you think of this competition?
I thought it was pretty hard. Like, it looked really hard. And, by the way that most of the competitors did, yeah, it was really hard. And it started off with Anissa versus Yesela. So you could see where this episode was going for sure. And, it's still, they didn't do too well. But then again, great job by the editors and producers by the way that they put together the episode, because it starts off bad. And then it's like, all right, let's switch the scene and go to the next competitors. And they drop Onyx Slam. Like,
yes,
you're almost, in honesty, okay? We're almost at a point where you're trying to get me to not actually be paying attention to what's going on in the show, because I'm just jamming out. Like, Onyx Slam, banger, banger, banger. Like,
I agree.
So good and just perfect for the scene.
Yeah. First of all, Slam by Onyx somehow does not get credit as like an all-time great rap song. But for me, it's not top 10, but like top 25 all time.
It's a great track.
It's so good. And like Onyx didn't really have any other hits. So it doesn't, and it was like a little underground. So like it wasn't like a chart topper.
Yeah.
But man, as soon as it came on, I was like, yes. Like, and you're right. Like, it was perfect for the scene. Like, just a great song. Like,
even if you aren't familiar with the song, but that came on, I feel like you might get hype.
Yeah.
It just seemed well.
Unlike when Step by Step by New Kids on the Block came on.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting. That was an interesting, but it just shows what music can do, right? Music can set you in different moods. The New Kids on the Block, Step by Step, I kind of just laughed, but I see what they're doing, right? Because again, they're telling a story, and it was about the fact that Darrell's kind of afraid to do it, but he just got to take it step by step, right?
It was interesting because that is a song that predates the real world, let alone the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of these throwback songs we've been enjoying predate the challenge.
Yeah.
But Step by Step predates the real world, the original reality TV show. But again, it was appropriate for Darrell taking it step by step. I did like Derek and Yesela doing commentary on Alton versus Darrell. Thought that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Derek was hype. He was in the first, he and Nehemiah were the first men to go. And Derek set the pace early, bringing back 3 balls.
Mm-hmm.
And as Jemmy pointed out, he thought he was going to win.
He did.
Until the very end, when his BFF, Mark, topped him and got 4 balls and won.
Yeah.
Kellyanne won for the women. We haven't spoken a lot about Kellyanne this season. I have to say, I'm a big fan of hers. Like, not just this season, but every season.
Yeah, she's a great challenge competitor because she's pretty good at a lot of challenges. She tries hard. She's fun in the house, right? Like, she'd be in there partying and getting down or whatever. Like, she's cool people's. She'd be a cool hang. And at the end of the day, when you're watching these reality shows, we're looking for cool hangs. She definitely fits the bill. But again, she also is a pretty damn good competitor.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my favorite Kellyanne moment was, I want to say Bloodlines. She was arguing with someone, and she was storming out of the room. And I think it was Jamie, like Cara Maria's cousin. And they were the two that were arguing. And as she stormed out, he said namaste to her sarcastically, and she still stopped to turn around and say namaste. It was like an angry namaste.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, that's like my lasting memory of Kellyanne.
Okay.
But she did do very well in this competition. It was an impressive showing on her part.
What did you make of Jonay's whole thing about how she's been, playing possum, so to speak, and not trying to show everyone her full capabilities?
Uh, I don't know that that's necessarily the case.
Okay.
I'm not sure the competitions have suited Kellyanne.
No. John A was saying that.
Oh, I don't think that's the case at all. I don't. I don't think.
That was awesome.
Do you think John A's gonna?
No. I mean, she tried to say that, like, she's been playing possum and she's not trying to show everything so that people aren't worried about her in the final. And it's like, okay, cool. I mean, I guess it's working because she's kind of been playing in the background, but I still don't know that I'd be worried about her in a final. So no, just asking.
John A's. I mean, John A's, like, I'll give her full credit where it's due. She just gave birth like 7 months ago. Like, what she's doing, competing and like doing well, like, full credit to her. I'm not gonna take anything away from her, but like, she was never a good competitor.
Yeah.
Like, John A was never a killer. Her presence is what's really stretching our definition of all stars, right? So, like, it's not like she's even rounding into form. Like, this is her form.
Yeah. No. I get that. So yeah, I mean, as mentioned, Mark ends up surpassing Derek at the very end as he got 4 balls. And, Yesella and Big Easy lose. They end up being teammates going into the arena. Meanwhile, the winners, as you mentioned, going straight to the final, Mark and Kellyanne.
Pretty big.
Huge. So now we get to the interesting parts of each episode where, the politicking begins. And Big Easy says he wants Nehemiah. And Anissa, she's more focused on the fact that she just doesn't want to go in yet again right before the finals. And she tries to tell the dudes, if you pick me, I'm not doing it. I'm going to quit, which we all know isn't true, right? Which is an interesting strategy, but also kind of like, as much as I like Anissa, and we've talked about that before, like, you can't, the way that the game is set up right now, this is not a cool way to go about it. I don't really like it, to be honest. I think it's kind of whack for her to do that, to put it that way. And I don't know. I didn't like it. What did you think?
I think it sort of smacks of desperation, but also I understand that Anissa is desperate to make a final for once.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think we didn't see this, but I think the other thing is Anissa's trying to avoid going in against her best friend, Yesella.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she said that to someone at some point, but like, going against Yesella is her worst case scenario. Okay. In a lot of ways.
Yeah. So she's just trying to say anything that can get her out of it. I got you.
Yeah. Oh, which makes sense to me.
Yeah. Totally.
So people are asking the Yesella and Big Easy, because they're the ones going in, who they want. Big Easy says Nehemiah, which is interesting because I sort of thought they were in an alliance, like, with Mark and Derek, but there's no loyalty in these streets, No. And all is
fair in love, war, and the challenge, right?
And then Yesella is saying that she'd like to see Darrell because he hasn't gone in yet, but Nehemiah has gone in yet. So she thinks it's more fair to bring in Darrell, which, I mean, both Nehemiah and Darrell, I think, are good competitors.
Yeah. Here's my thought on this whole thing, though, right? I don't think that just because you haven't gone in, that you should go in before the final. Like, I don't think that's fair. Like, part of the game is making it to the final. And what's a way of making it to the final? Not going into the elimination. So I don't really think you can knock someone for that. And especially where, we've seen this game play out in different iterations where there's different rules and different strategies and all that. But the way that this season is set up, it is obviously better for you to avoid the final, right? So unless it's one of the seasons where you have to go in to earn your spot or whatever, and we talk about it, do you want the smoke or not want the smoke? There's no need. There's absolutely no need. So that's the part to me that's a little odd. And I didn't like Yesella just trying to kind of eliminate certain people and be like, I think it should be either this person or this person. Because again, like it didn't really even make sense from a game standpoint, right? Like, wouldn't going against Darrell be harder for you? Right? Like, I didn't understand it from a game standpoint.
Me neither. I don't know why Yazella is not like Big Easy, like gets to pick who he wants in terms of like the male competitor.
Mm-hmm.
So in deliberations,
Yeah.
Nehemiah sort of kicks things off. I think getting ahead of the curve
Yeah.
because he knows that his name's been thrown out there and votes for yes. And then yes makes this great philosophical speech about how he has no alliances.
Mm-hmm.
Each day is a fresh start.
Yep.
Each day he, looks people in the eye. That's his new alliance. And it like clearly moves people.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of his speech?
I mean, I thought it got the job done. Anytime you come with something different that's not combative, it's always a plus. You make a good point and you're not combative. You're not putting anyone else down. It's a good point. And he did a great job. And I mean, at the end of the day, I still don't fully understand why Anissa voted for Nehemiah against the wishes of her best friend. Like, I still don't really get it. Like, I don't really understand her. Like, was she just sure that Nehemiah wouldn't pick her? Was that it maybe? But she still seemed worried. So I don't know.
Well, the thing is, though, Yazella wanted Darrell.
Mm-hmm.
By the time it was time for Anissa to vote, Darrell did not have enough votes to go in.
Yeah, it was between yes or Nehemiah.
And I guess Yazella had said put in someone who hasn't been in yet, which would be yes.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's not like Anissa went against Yazella's wishes.
I mean, if you ask Yesella.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But Yazella specifically said Darrell. Darrell was no longer an option. So Anissa had to make a new decision.
Yeah. No, no disagreements here. No disagreements here. I mean, Anissa makes her pick. She picks Nehemiah. And yeah, then they play the Night of the Roxbury song, which, I mean, yeah.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah, I guess so. Right? I guess so. We get beef where Yesella and Anissa are mad at each other. Jemmy doing her job, what Jemmy does best in terms of stirring the pot, which I thought was super funny.
Well, we have a listener comment about that. Cokes, Coakley or Pepsi. That's a good Twitter handle.
Okay.
Says, just caught the most recent You Killed It. And I had to take the opportunity to write in. I can't stand Jemmy.
Oh.
She preaches about being a good person, and how soon do we forget that she ganged up on and bullied Kaylee in Vendettas. As you know, Sheldon, I'm a fan of Jemmy.
Okay.
I see why she's not everyone's cup of tea, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't disagree with Cokes. And I didn't love Jemmy in this scene. Like, I felt like she was needlessly urging on Yesella, who clearly, as you would say, had the Remy in the system. And like, Yesella and Anissa, it's established, are real life best friends. So for Jemmy to be like egging her on, I didn't think was cool, because again, I don't think that Yesella had the full picture about the fact that Darrell was off the table.
Yeah. And the one thing I will say in Jemmy's defense, because I agree with you, overall, I think she's being messy, but that's also what Jemmy does. That's her strategy. That's, the point of the game is figuring out a way for you to survive as long as possible. Different people are going to do that with different ways and different strategies. And that's just her way, right? Cool, whatever. I get it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. The one thing I will say that I agree with her on, though, was she was saying that Anissa just gets mad because every time right before the final, she gets tossed in. And that's her own fault. And I kind of agree with Jemmy on that end. Like, what happens to Anissa on every season of the challenge isn't the fault of any of the people that are on this current season of the challenge. And in fact, next season, when she goes back on the challenge, if right before the final, she then gets tossed in, you know what? That's just the nature of the game. And maybe it means more that Anissa should switch something up, right? I'm a big believer in the definition of insanity, right?
But maybe this is Anissa switching things up. Because Anissa's usually a good, solid friend, dare I say, loyal to a fault.
Okay.
In the vote, she did prioritize herself over Gisela. I mean, like, we can't have it both ways. We can't say Anissa wasn't loyal and say that she's always sticking to the same formula.
It's fair.
And also, to your earlier point, her straight up saying, I refuse to compete if anyone brings me in, is also not what she would normally do.
Okay. That's fair.
I agree with yours and Jemmy's point that, Anissa does it to herself one way or the other.
Yeah. No, I got you. Makes sense. So what did you make of Big Easy and Nehemiah talking trash? Because that was a funny scene.
I thought it was weird because I didn't think Big Easy was talking trash at first, and then like Nehemiah suddenly took it there.
Wasn't he talking about like, I'll bring you breakfast, I'll bring you your breakfast or something? What do you want for breakfast? Like, it was just weird.
I thought he was just being like nice, right? Like, we're still buds.
Okay,
Sheldon, I'll bring you breakfast.
Sure. I appreciate that. And then, yeah, they showed the flashback of Big Easy sending home Nehemiah in the duel, and he says, I'll do it again.
I totally forgot about that.
I mean, of course, like, how long ago was that? So, yeah, we move on and we get Anissa and Gisela. They're saying they're not friends anymore. Wow. And Gisela saying that Anissa stabbed her in the back, which I think is a bit extreme. But again, I'm not really positive why Anissa made her pick, but whatever, that's what she did. Nehemiah ends up picking Kendall. And I want to know, what are your thoughts on Nehemiah's pick of Kendall?
Well, hold on. I have to say something about the Anissa Gisela fight. Gisela was saying their friendship was over. Anissa was not saying that. Anissa was like, no, we're still friends.
Yeah.
You just have to get over this.
For sure.
Gisela was also clearly drunk.
Yes.
And so Anissa was just like, all right, we'll talk tomorrow, sort of thing, which, like,
the wisest words ever said, man, when the Remy's in the system.
Ain't no telling. To get to your question, though, of like seeing, like, because they could see what the competition was. It clearly was going to involve climbing. Kendall is a great pick.
Yeah.
Only because you can't pick Kellyanne, who's taller.
Yeah.
But equally athletic. Kendall is for sure the correct pick.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And Anissa's crying because she finally made it to the final.
Did she, though?
Well, we'll find out.
I think she's assuming. So TJ said that this is the final arena.
True.
But that doesn't mean there's
always a purge. Purge. Yes, agreed.
It doesn't mean there's not, if you like, we're going to run a race right now, and if you're last, you're out. Like, he did not say that they're all in the final. And with TJ, it made that, like, as Jemmy said a couple episodes ago, you have to pay attention to how TJ phrases things. And he did not say you're all in the final. He said the winners of this elimination are in the final. Mark and Kellyanne are in the final.
Yeah.
This is the final arena. That's different.
Agreed. So what did you make of this elimination, the actual event here? Because it was interesting. You kind of had to lift up your partner so you could get the rings up and over the pole. Then you had to walk over to your wall. The rings are attached to chains, which you had to strategically place on pegs on said wall to create a ladder that you would then be able to climb up and hit the bell at the top to win. One thing I will say is that I don't think they did a good enough job in breaking down the difference between how Big Easy built his wall or his ladder and how Nehemiah built his, and the difference and like what went wrong. Because obviously there was some form of strategy with the length of the chains, one being shorter than the other or whatever. Like there's a way that you're supposed to go about it. I don't think they did enough time like breaking that part down for me, because I understood, oh, okay, Big Easy did something right, Nehemiah did something wrong, but I'm not really sure what that was. And I kind of needed just a little something to be like, oh, okay, that's where they messed up.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know they usually rely on the competitors, the cast members, to explain strategy, but they don't. Sometimes the cast members don't get it or don't give them the soundbite they need.
Yeah.
I would love like a TJ Lavin voiceover and like a freeze frame with like a diagram or whatever. Be like, this is what we were looking for.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. I also wonder too, how much time, because what ends up happening normally, I feel like, is they film the season, but then they end up doing the confessionals as inserts. So then once you do that later on, you have holes that you say, hey, I need someone to say blank. But because of COVID, I wonder if they weren't able to do that this time around.
Oh, maybe. That's an interesting point.
Like, I have no idea. I'm totally just, thinking out loud. But yeah, who knows? But a disappointment. The one thing I do know, that's a horrible loss for Kendall and Nehemiah.
I mean, when I saw it and like saw what the competition was and saw that Nehemiah made the right choice in picking Kendall, I was like, oh, this is a wrap. Like Kendall is built for this. Nehemiah is built for this.
And then Ysella hurt herself.
Yeah. And she popped her knee or something. It's not clear, but I honestly thought they were going to eliminate her based off of an injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for Kendall and Nehemiah to lose, I'm stunned. Like, what an upset. And like, I'm not saying that to put down Big Easy and Ysella, but like,
yeah, if we're in Vegas making odds of who are the favorites, it definitely wasn't going to be Ysella and Big Easy. The one thing I do wonder though, is do you think Ysella getting hurt actually helped? Because there was less dialogue. Big Easy just had to get going. There's no dialogue in terms of how to do what or where to place what, because she was hurt and he just had to go. Instead of what normally would have happened, there might have been some back and forth, maybe some arguing, maybe,
Well, I wonder how much Ysella, because she was just like committed to not climbing the ladder because of her knee. I wonder how much it helped her perspective that she could just like sit back and like help Big Easy stay organized. Because like Kendall and Nehemiah at times are both on the wall, and like sometimes you can be too close to the forest that you can't see the trees. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
but maybe Ysella being forced to take a step back. I'll say she had my line of the episode. She goes, just because this isn't a typical ladder doesn't mean our arts and crafts aren't beautiful. That really made me laugh. Saying it again makes me chuckle.
Okay.
I'm honestly stunned by this outcome. I did not think, like, as soon as climbing, I thought it was a wrap.
Yeah.
And then I love that Big Easy, CT is the pain train. Big Easy calls himself the choo-choo train, which is adorable. You're not a fan of the choo-choo train, eh?
Definitely not. I didn't like how this went down. Like, I feel bad. Like, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here because like, I feel bad for Kendall because like she's my MVP of the episode, line of the episode, MVP Kendall. Kendall is the MVP of this episode. the crowd chanting MVP because that's real. I feel sorry for her because like she got dragged into this for the umpteenth time, right? And kept having to go in over and over again. And, you know, I get why, because she's good and people wanted to be partnered with her. But the fact that she went in with Nehemiah, who loses to Big Easy again, who was talking trash to Big Easy, like you can't talk trash to Big Easy and then lose. It's like, I know the timelines, people might not be knowing when we're like recording this and when these episodes come out, but the Sixers losing in a heartbreaking home loss to the Atlanta Hawks. And I was here for all the Philadelphia 76ers jokes because there's nothing that warms my heart more than Joel Embiid losing and seeing all the crying memes. And I had to clarify to people, I have nothing against athletes who cry when they lose at sports. Hey, I've done that before. But that guy, the guy coming out doing the DX suck it sellies, that guy doesn't get to then cry. Right? Like you can't lose when you're the one out here bringing out Triple H to do the suck it move to everyone in the vicinity. Like you and your airplane sellies, you who sit out games because you had the runs and then want to tell us that you have a torn meniscus and that's like all that. Nah. So I bring that up again because Nehemiah, you cannot lose after talking trash to Big Easy and you lose to him for the second time. That is unacceptable. Can't happen. Won't happen. Can't do it. And because of you, you drag down Kendall as well. Kendall is my MVP.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying because throughout this, and I know I made comments about this before, Kendall's just put in work. I know that she's rubbing the house the wrong way in ways that I'm not really clear about.
Yeah, I don't get the beef with her and Mark. There's got to be something there that we don't know, but I never understood that.
But she just seems to go about her business.
Yeah.
You know, like she just seems to do yoga 3 times a day, eat healthy.
No arguments here, man.
She like, I'm not going to say she's great TV. Like she's not partying hard or hooking up with anyone or anything, but like, she hasn't done anything where I'm like, like her one misstep was when she refused to fall through that false floor and then like fell to pieces explaining where she was coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, that's a minor thing. And yeah,
Agreed.
like she took this loss well. She didn't do anything to invite this, you know? So it's mystifying to me how she found herself in this position. Well, not mystifying. I do understand it, but
no. I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. It
sucks for her. I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, I'm going to co-sign you giving Kendall the MVP because I think she's had a good season. I think, like, sure, Yazella and Big Easy won, but like, I don't want to take away from their win. But I didn't like Yazella going after Anissa so hard, where I don't think Anissa really did anything that bad.
Yeah.
And I don't...
Oh, like, sorry. One other point, though. I do think Yes brought this up, and he said that it's super hypocritical of Nehemiah, who spent the whole deliberation saying it's unfair, we need to put people in who haven't been in before. And then who did he pick? Kendall, who's been in every single time. Straight hypocritical. So, yeah.
Yes made a good point. I have to say, I won't name him my MVP, but we can call him my runner-up. Yes did nothing except for spit facts this episode.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he didn't dominate or anything, but just like his icy stare down as he explained his like philosophy to life.
Spitting hot fire like our guy Snow.
Yeah. Just like Snow. That's really changed your life, hasn't it?
That's all I got, man. That's all I got.
I don't even know what to do with you at this point, Sheldon. I'm normally the one that leaves you speechless, and now you've just got me shook.
Hey.
I will say, I have one more thought, and then we'll wrap up. But I think there's a part of me that wonders if Kendall is going to get to stay. Because I wonder how bad Yazella's knee is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In which case, Kendall's who you'd bring back, right? As the most recently eliminated woman.
I guess so. But yeah. No,
I'm just gonna put that energy into the world and maybe manifest that.
Okay.
Where can the good people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander, on Instagram, Sheldon Alexander, and like and subscribe on Blast Podcast, on YouTube under Sheldon Alexander. We're also on Twitch. We're all over the place, but shouts to the people liking and subscribing, still rocking with us on this season of You Killed It. You know, like and subscribe to You Killed It podcast, of course. Unsubscribe, subscribe again. Why not? The people who've been rocking with us while we do this challenge season that you, the fan, the viewer asked for, we appreciate y'all. And it's been fun. It's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun. And I appreciate each and every one of you. You can get at me on Twitter and Instagram at jchidleyhill. And until next week, this was You Killed It.
You Killed